been almost 4 years since Elijah was murdered, and since I first went to VOH, and a lot has gone, and I think our relationship has, our I guess, I mean, our lives were unified since day one. I think I didn't really. I mean, we kind of look back in life and like, oh man, I didn't know that Kelly would have this much of a foothold of my heart, and my also being a part of like mentor for me during this whole process and trying to take care of my family as best as possible. Um, but I know your story is a little bit different with how you ended up at VOH.
No.
So I wanted to start off with that question: is um, why did you start going to VOH, and what was your first meeting like?
Well, um, Shelley, my partner, is was watching what was going on, and I wasn't handling things as well as I should have. Um, we were going through a lot. We had Shane's murder, and then we had to get the funeral planned, and then we were in court for bail hearings within 2 months. So there was a lot of things going on, and I was angry. I'm not usually an angry type person. And so she recognized that, I needed more help than what she was able to give me.
Mm.
And so she found the VOH online and convinced me to go. And been there pretty much the whole time ever since. So that's 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, that we've been trying to help. The first, few years, it was more receiving the help from the people that have gone through the journey. And the last numerous years was trying to help people get through the journey and help them out as much as we can, along the way. So try and mentor and help as much as we can. People are going through this difficult situation. The first meeting was way different than what we have now. The first meeting was in a hall, and there was 7 people in the meeting, and that was it. Very tight, very personal type meeting, and sat there and listened to everybody's story and what they were saying. I wasn't ready to speak at that point in time, so just introduced myself, and that was about it. So the VOH has grown tremendously over the years, due to people like you that get the word out and that. So we have a larger group now. The small intimate group was nice at the time. It allowed you to speak more freely. You had a lot more time that you could monopolize the conversation and get what you needed out. I'm not a public speaker by any stretch, so the larger groups are working very well for the majority of the people there. And even to this day, somebody will say something or that makes you come up and think, I never thought about that way, things in that manner. So you still learn now, even 20 years after, how to deal with things that were better than what you had been doing. So.
Was there any meeting that stuck out to you still to this day after going for 20 years?
The meeting that stuck out for me the most was there was a gentleman that was attending, and he taught his son to fight back. and, stand up for himself. And we always taught Shane to use his brain and be a pacifist and, talk your way out of situations. And there we were in the same meeting under this very similar circumstances. And it really took away a lot of the guilt feelings that I had, because up until that point, it was, what if we had taught Shane to stand up for himself and be able to defend himself better in situations like this? So the fact that one really hit home because it just released a lot of the guilt that we were feeling.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, there was a lot of had a lot of thoughts that I'm definitely not proud of about revenge and what I would like to do with them if I had my way. But that was more out of severe anger, just going through the legal system that was not it wasn't quite what we had been brought up to believe.
So there was anger kind of spread out everywhere
Yeah.
between those who took Shane's life, the system after the whole fact.
Yeah.
So it sounds like anger was just there's not one place or one person where you can put all this anger into.
So a lot of anger. Not all at the kids, a lot of it was at the system. So over the years, you tend to, work through the anger. And I guess still not happy with the verdicts. But in the long run, I'm hoping that these 5 individuals learned from the mistake and are living in a life that will reflect how good Shane was. And, so that's all we can hope for.
Mm-hmm. Is there a difference between anger and revenge?
To me, there would be. Revenge. Revenge to me is the act of retaliating. Okay. There was lots of thoughts about how I would like to retaliate, and that. But we, there was 2 other children that I have, and they have to take precedent now. Shane is gone. I have to make sure that they're well looked after as well, as best as I could do at the time. So the anger was definitely there. But for me to act on the revenge, that wouldn't do well for my other children. So you couldn't do it. And the hope was that, I've lived a good enough life that at one point in time, at the end of this, I might be able to see Shane and me taking out the revenge, which to me would be making sure that I wouldn't ever see him again.
Yeah, I think society can tell men to move on and be strong. Is that even possible? What does that mean after 20 years of, going to VOH? Is it even possible for
You do move on because at some point in time you realize that you can't change the past. So you do move on. But at the beginning, there was a gathering at the house, and more of an acquaintance came over, and he was had a different cultural values and stuff, and he walked over to me, and I wasn't, doing very well, and he just said, you have to be strong, and that's your role. Suck it up. And that's it. Okay. So, okay, this is 2 days after Shane's murder.
2 days after.
Yeah. And so we, okay, well, that's what I'm supposed to be doing because men are supposed to protect the family. And evidently I didn't do a very good job at that because Shane's gone. So there's always this underlying pressure. I remember I think it was about 8 months afterwards, we were at a gathering, and there was a couple of people that came, or a couple of guys that came over, and yeah, if that happened to my kid, boy, I'd go out there and I'd, seek revenge, and I'd do this, and it'd be no different than shooting a deer. The deer is probably better looking. And okay, so we have all of these societal pressures that we're supposed to react and defend the family and the family honor and all the rest of it. But when it comes down to it, Canadians just, I'm not bred that way. I'm not going to create more problems for the people that I love and the other kids by going out and doing something stupid like that. I think most men go through the stage of what is it that I'm supposed to do, and am I supposed to retaliate? Am I supposed to look for revenge? But thankfully, it doesn't happen very often at all. So I think that most men will go through the comments that's similar to what I went through. You should be protecting your family. You should be strong. You should be able to stand up to this and make the rest of your family look good. But the reality is we're hurting just as much as everybody else. And we're trying to work through a situation that nobody is prepared for. You don't raise your family thinking that somebody's going to be murdered. You don't prepare for any of this. We had never had anything to do with the legal system before. So now all of a sudden you're thrown into this strange situation with people that are supposed to be setting laws and consequences that are supposed to prevent people from doing acts like this. And they failed. So
I like how you highlighted this cycle that men go through, and we kind of get thrown into this cycle from society. But just like Heidi mentioned, we don't prepare for being in a situation, you know, whether you're a parent or a loved one, you never prepare for your loved one to be murdered,
no.
and you don't prepare to learn anything about the legal system. And what do you believe men most need to hear? Because it sounds like the guy who went up to you 2 days after Shane was murdered clearly didn't say the best words. And if you were at that situation, what would you, now after 20 years of going through, what do you think is the best thing to say or communicate?
I think, I don't think it's gender based. Men, women, I think that we all need support. We all need somebody to talk to, somebody that understands the situation. Because the stigma needs to be broke. We're not going to be able to move forward with our lives until we can deal with what has happened. And if you're always getting bombarded by, you should be doing this, you should take revenge, you should be strong and taking on everybody else's feelings and worries, and it just drags you down, and then you become depressed, and there's a lot of health implications that come along with the depression and the feeling of not being worthy. You were supposed to protect your family and you didn't. So does that mean that you're a lesser man because you weren't able to? So all of these thoughts, men seem to go through over, after listening to going through it myself and listening to other men in the VOH. And we need to know that we are going to hurt. We're not going to be able to hold it back in. We need help to work our way through this, be it counseling or be it somebody that you can talk to. The VOH is very good at that. It allows both genders to explain, what they're going through. And when it boils down to it, we're all feeling the same thing. We're all feeling the hurt. We're all feeling the loss and the regrets and the guilts and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. What would have happened if we had done this differently? So, in an ideal situation, this would never happen, but knowing that it is going to happen again and again, men need to source out the help that they themselves feel they need. They can't be put in a box and stored away, because it will resurface, and you will never be able to have a happy life if you can't deal with it appropriately. It just doesn't go away. After 20 years, still have think about shame all the time, and where he would be now, what would he be doing? But I can do it now without taking the guilt and the blame on myself. It was a wrong time, wrong place event. There was nothing that I could have done to have changed the outcome of that night, other than possibly grounding him and making sure that he didn't go to the party. But there was no reason to think that there would be an altercation like this. Shane had partied with those people for years. So for me to blame myself for allowing it to go is not a realistic thing. Shane needed to live his life, and we allowed him to do that. And he lived his life to the fullest. Sometimes you wonder whether or not he knew he was going to have a short life, and he did all the things he wanted to do. So.
Well, even I can personally say that everything you've said, even before us meeting here today, from man to man, I've definitely been able to be one of those people who you saw a better future for. You believed that there was someone or some family that you can help. And if anyone, or if even Shane asks, if anyone asks you, what have you been up to? You can clearly look at my beautiful family that you can a party.
And it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of it. You and Abigail and Mabel are just wonderful. Um, and that's the reason that a lot of us keep going back to the VOH is trying to, trying to help the people that are going through it, that it's fresh and, try and make it easier and better for them because it's a horrible, horrible thing to go through.
But it's a lot easier when we go together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like most things, multiple hands make easy work. So if you can get into something, maybe the VOH isn't your thing, but you need some kind of, everybody needs some kind of help to go through it. And I hope that everybody finds peace that they need in order to deal with it. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
You will always miss them. And murder is one of these things that the way it comes about, it seems to plague you longer and more deeply than what a natural passing would. And so it's one of these things that you deal with the rest of your life, and how you deal with it is up to you. You can take it and harbor it inside, and you'll have all kinds of stress problems and health problems, and basically you need somebody to talk to.